by that one vulture getting 3 SCVs. Normally for an SCV or for a vulture to make up its worth, it only takes about 1 SCV or so, because 50 minerals to 75 minerals plus the mining time makes up for it. And yeah, that was a good harassment there by Hiya. And a second factory going down for Hiya as well. The floating rack still seeing everything that Hiya does. And Hiya has 1 tank out versus Flash actually has 2 tanks out with his machine shop factory, but Flash does not have a second machine shop yet, or second factory even. I think it's going down right now. And Hiya is building a second factory with a machine shop as well, and his second tank is out, so he should be fine to defend against this 2 tanks for Flash. And SCV going out for Hiya, but it gets taken out by those 2 marauding tanks that are in the middle. It's very odd that you see tanks marauding in the middle. Usually that's a job left for vultures, because tanks are so valuable, and it hurts so much to lose them. Armory going down for Hiya. This will probably be for early upgrades. I don't think he's going to be anticipating rates or anything this early. I assume that that is for upgrades, for the early upgrades. And Flash is going to scout this out. His Rax is still floating around, still going to see it. And I mean, it could conceivably be for Goliaths, but I don't think so. I think it will be just for the upgrades. And now 3 tanks and 2 SCVs going out for Hiya. There's 3 tanks in the middle for Flash, and he sees this coming, and he's going to back off with his tanks, because with those SCV support repairing, that will definitely be a disadvantage for Flash. And those SCVs are actually going to get pretty close to those tanks, and now the SCVs are splitting. Okay, that was a great ploy by Hiya. He sent one of the SCVs to go try and get a scout in, and then these other tanks are going to siege up, and they might actually get a kill, and no, the tanks for Flash just barely get out of the way in time. But yeah, I don't think that SCV for Hiya was able to do too much, and Hiya now is going to start to slowly crawl forward, and he's going to go for these the temples behind Flash's temples base. And Flash has to be careful, because you definitely don't want that avenue of attack opened up, because if tanks get onto that ridge, that can be really, really bad, especially if they can get up there without even having to use a dropship or anything. That is a big problem, and the temples are all down, so Flash is definitely in a little bit of a problem here. 4 tanks for Hiya moving up into that ridge position. Flash does see this 5 tanks actually, and Flash is going to have to respond. A 6 tank coming out now, but Flash is in trouble here because Hiya has the high ground. Hiya definitely has the high ground, and a huge advantage here because of that. And he's got the proxy, he has the racks floating around, giving him vision. And Flash is going to come around from the other side with a couple SCVs and some tanks as well. I think Hiya anticipates this. I don't think he saw it coming, but he's anticipating it coming. And I think he will be okay. Half of his tanks are sieging, and the other half are going to stay unsieged. Okay, 2 are going to stay unsieged. 1 is okay. None of them are going to stay unsieged. I thought he was going to try and keep some of them unsieged as a to block. And Flash is trying to get up here, but he's going to be at such a huge disadvantage because of that proxy, because of that Rax giving him vision, and because Hiya is already sieged. And now Flash going in because he knows he has to. And a lot of the tanks going down for Flash already. 2 of the tanks went down for Hiya, and Flash is already down to 3 tanks. He's down to 2 tanks each, 2 tanks for each player, and 1 tank for each player. And I think this is going to get cleaned up by those SCVs and everything. And yeah, all those SCVs went down. 1 tank left over for Flash. But 2 more factories going down now for Hiya. Another factory and another machine shop going down for Flash. Hiya looks like he's going to set up for his 3rd expansion. And Hiya definitely has Flash on the back foot right now. Because that back temple is open, that's a huge avenue of attack there that Flash has to be really, really careful about. And that's what we're seeing now. And more tanks coming in for Hiya. We'll see what happens here. More SCVs being pulled off the line. And if he loses too many more SCVs, this could actually end up being a big-time economic loss for Flash. He already has lost something like 6 or 7 SCVs to harassment and things, not counting his scouting SCVs, whereas Hiya has not lost any outside of his, I don't believe so, outside of his scouting SCV and that initial SCV that built that barracks, which I would consider to be a scouting SCV. I don't think he's really lost too much. And now Hiya is going to go for the natural. He's going to siege up outside of the natural, using the fact that now Flash is defending 2 bases, 2 different fronts, and the SCVs are coming in among the tanks, but there's 2 unsieged tanks that are going to try and pick off as many of the SCVs as possible before they can take out the tanks. And none of the tanks have gone down quite yet for Hiya. And one of the tanks go down, but all of the SCVs are down. The second tank goes down, but all of the SCVs that came off the line are dead already. And Hiya's going to be able to pick off this tank for Flash that was sitting outside of the temples, and 2 Goliaths and 2 tanks are out now for reinforcement for Hiya. He's building a starport, so I guess that army was for a for the Goliaths. He didn't want to just use vultures, he wanted to use Goliaths. And now he's going to siege outside. Hiya's going to siege outside of the temple area of Flash's temple area with those tanks, and then the Goliaths in support. The Goliaths are probably going to go sit here and take some shots of those barracks and force it away, and not so that way it doesn't give him so it doesn't give Flash too much vision. And Hiya now doing a SCV transfer, I think that is, yes, that will be an SCV transfer to the bottom right base. That is at the 5 o'clock position or so. So he will be getting his 3rd gas up pretty soon, and 3 gas for Terran is a lot of gas. That lets you pump out a lot of tanks. And Hiya again going to go up to this high ground here, and he's going to siege up on the high ground, and at that point it will be very difficult for Flash to get up again. And Flash is just in a really bad spot right now. Wraith now out for Hiya as well out of that starport. I don't know if he's going to go for cloak rates or if this is going to be a basic rates. And tanks coming out for Flash, but they're going to be caught by a couple of siege tanks and Goliaths that are here. And those tanks are doing a ton of damage for Hiya. I mean, he's going to lose them, but I think they did more than their damage. And Flash actually GG's here. He was in just such a bad spot once those temples went down, and he was just in a strategic disadvantage and was forced to GG. He just could not close the gap there at all. And yeah, Hiya maybe making that trade of 4GG not means as much. Maybe he can actually be that big time second player that Oz so desperately needs, taking down Flash, one of the top Terrans, if not the top Terran in the world at the moment. So good job for Hiya, and that will give Hwaesung Oz a 2-0 lead over KTF at the moment. We'll be heading to set 3, and I will see you there.